Hello everyone. Thank you for making time to actually check this video of how you can facilitate beyond success roundtables. My name is Berven and with me today is Cynthia. We're just going to take you through sample of a roundtable so that you can see how actually you're supposed to run or facilitate. Actually, that's the right word because you're a facilitator. So facilitate a roundtable. I want to just congratulate you for committing yourself to be part of this global transformational program movement in actual fact. And I want to assure you that you are actually going to learn a lot from the program, but more importantly, you're going to really impact the whole world just because you have committed yourself to actually transform one or two or seven or eight or nine or 10 or 100 or 200 people that you are actually going to facilitate roundtables for. So I hope you have your book with you, whether it's the translation of your local language or you have the Beyond Success booklet with you. So now what we want you to do is to just take your curriculum, the booklet, and just flip on to page number 3, which is your attitude lesson. So please remember that as a facilitator, what you're doing is to facilitate the program. You're not necessarily teaching, you're not necessarily coaching, because if you are going to assume the role of a teacher, it means everybody in your roundtable has to just listen to you, which is not the way that the Beyond Success program has been designed. If you're actually going to assume the role of a coach, what it means is people are going to find it a challenge for them to be vulnerable and answer the questions that are going to come up on the other sections, where there's a moment for them to actually do some sort of like self-introspection and also respond to how they see themselves moving on to making a decision of becoming better in the specific area of discussion for that day. So don't assume the role of a teacher, don't assume the role of a coach, assume the role of a facilitator, which means you're going to allow the material to actually do the work of transformation. All you have to do is take the lead in creating the atmosphere of transformation and allowing people to be themselves and participate as you go through the whole program, right? So we're going to kick off, and I'm going to assume the role of a facilitator and just welcome Cynthia and you to this wonderful roundtable. We believe we're going to really learn a lot today as we go through this program. And the session that we're going to do today, the roundtable that we're doing today, is the roundtable on attitude. And attitude really is a very important aspect of each and every person's life. And when it comes to your transformation, attitude is a good place to start from. So let's just kick off from there, Cynthia. What we're going to do is I'm going to take the lead in reading the first line or first paragraph. And as we go through, after I've read my first line or paragraph, you're going to read the next line or the next paragraph, and we go through like that. So meaning for you, if you're going to have 5 people or 7 people, you are going to start off as the facilitator to read the first line or the first paragraph and allow the person next to you to read the next paragraph, and you allow everybody to read through as you go along. And Cynthia, as you're part of this roundtable, I want to encourage you to underline anything that jumps on you as you read through, as we all read through. I want you to underline anything that makes an impact on you, that makes a huge impression on you, anything that you feel that this is very important, this is speaking to me, or this is just good for my soul, good for me as an individual. Just underline it, and then as we go through, at some point we're going to reflect on everything that we have underlined. So let's kick off. So phones off. Make sure your phone is off so that you're not going to be disturbed, so that you're not going to be distracted from the whole process. So, just make sure your environment is jolly, and make sure everybody feels welcome. Make sure that you just express your side of being hospitable so that everybody feels at home as you kick off the round table. So now we're starting off. Right, so attitude. The world you see is colored by your attitude. Attitude is the difference maker. Attitude isn't everything, but it is one thing that can make a difference in your life. A quote from John Maxwell. Cynthia, you can go along and read the next paragraph.
Okay. When you think of attitude, what comes to mind? You may not be able to easily define attitude, but you know a good or a bad one when you see it.
Your attitude colors every aspect of your life. It is like the mind's paintbrush. It can paint everything in bright, vibrant colors, creating a masterpiece. Or it can make everything dark and dreary. If you look at the lives of people in any profession who achieve lasting success, you will find that they almost always possess a positive outlook on life.
Having a positive attitude is essential. It not only determines your level of contentment as a person, but it also has an impact on how others interact with you.
To learn more about what it means to be positive, think about these things. Your attitude is a choice you make. Average people want to wait for someone else to motivate them. They are tempted to believe that their circumstances are responsible for the way they think and feel. In reality, attitude is always a choice. In fact, while we can't control many of our circumstances, we can always control our attitudes. And choosing a positive attitude makes any circumstance look better. When you choose your attitude, you are taking control of an important aspect of your life rather than just letting life control you.
Your attitude affects your outlook. When you choose to focus on the positive in your surroundings, you tend to see more positive things. Choosing a positive attitude about your current situation enables you to see future circumstances in a positive light. Your attitude at this moment colors your perspective both now and in the future.
Right. So you continue with the whole process, making sure everybody in the round table is participating. And the key aspect of participation, especially at this section, is to make sure everybody gets to read a line or read a paragraph. But at times you might find yourself in a situation whereby there's someone who can't read. Maybe you're using the English translation, which is the main translation, and maybe you have someone who has challenges with reading in English. So you don't want to force it on those people. You allow them to just pass, and then the next person from there gets to read. So we're going to skip a little bit of some of the paragraphs here so that we don't take a lot of time, just to show you how this process goes through. So we're going to skip to the steps to follow. So I'm going to read the first step. But remember, you're not going to skip anything as you go through the process with your round table. Steps to follow. Number 1, talk to yourself. The most important person to listen to is yourself. What you tell yourself about your situation is either an anchor that holds your back or a sail that propels you forward. Choose to think positive thoughts. When negative thoughts arise, respond to them with positivity. Tell yourself something positive in response. Don't let the negative voices inside your mind influence you to see things negatively. Immediately find the positive in the situation before moving forward. Remember, you can choose what you think.
Number 2, choose positive relationships over negative ones. Think about the people that you spend a lot of time with. Are their attitudes primarily positive or negative? Attitude is contagious. So you should spend as much time as possible with people who choose to think positively. Their willingness to see the good in a situation will encourage you to make the same choice. If your circumstances don't allow you to completely avoid negative people, then seek out positive people and spend time with them to counteract negative influences in your life.
All right, so you go through the material again just like that. And remember, again, as a facilitator, if you find someone who makes a mistake with reading a specific word or anything like that, don't be too quick to correct them. Some people will feel offended if you do that. And remember, it won't affect anyone else in the group in terms of the context, because as that person would be reading, everyone else is also focusing on the very same areas, paragraph or anything like that. In their own book, they have their own material, they have their own booklet, so it won't be a big issue, right? So just allow people to be comfortable and be able to go through the whole process. Now, once you've finished the first, second step, you go on to step number 3, where now you have to reflect and respond. Now, in this section, Cynthia, what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you, and if there was anyone else in the roundtable, ask everybody in the roundtable to choose something that you underlined that is very important to you. Now, if possible, please just choose one specific thing out of everything you've underlined, and just explain to us what you chose and why you chose that specific thing. So I'm just going to give you a few seconds to go through and look into everything that you have underlined, and choose a specific thing that you would want to actually share with the whole group. And I want to encourage you as a facilitator as well. It's very important for you to be the first one to break that ice. In reading, be the first person to read, and in also going through this evaluation or reflection part or section, be the first person to reflect and share what you would have identified as an important statement. So I'm going to kick off and I'm going to start off. I choose from the steps to follow. Is it the steps to follow, right? I'm choosing from the second step, which is choose positive relationships over negative ones. I'm choosing specifically the statement, attitude is contagious. Attitude is contagious. And the reason why I'm choosing this statement and saying this is the statement that is very important to me is because, you know, it's a big point that attitude is contagious. What it means to me is that if I have a negative attitude, it means the people around me are going to rub off that negativity from me. Same thing if I have a positive attitude, it means the people that are in my environment are going to rub off from that. But it being contagious, it also means that the environment I find myself in, it's easy for me to just glean from the negativity of the people in my surroundings, or glean from the positivity of the people in my surroundings. So I feel like this is a very important point for me. And yourself, Cynthia?
Okay, so what resonated with me so much is in paragraph 5, on page 3.
Okay.
So it says, in fact, while we can't control many of our circumstances, we can always control our attitudes. So this one is really resonating with me so much, because we are currently in a world whereby we are battling so many challenges, from the pandemic and also civil unrest in some cases, like in where we are right now. So I feel like from this reading, I have a choice whether on how I'm going to respond, or how these circumstances are going to make me feel at the end of the day. So from what I've just read, I'm just seeing that I better choose not to wallow in self-pity or frightening myself, rather, but to keep my emotions in check. That's what really came out from reading this passage.
That's very good. Thank you so much, Cynthia, for sharing that. And I just want to encourage you as well that once a person has shared something, especially from this section, just thank them for sharing that, because you know now you want to just encourage the next person to be able to share whatever that they have to share. So that's why I had to thank her for sharing what she has just shared, right? Now let's move on to the next section, which is the self-assessment section, step number 4. Now what we're going to do right now is to do a bit of evaluation. We want to self-evaluate and rate ourselves from a scale of 1 to 10 and see where we really fall under in terms of us demonstrating this quality of attitude. So, you know, the scale is straightforward, 1 to 10. So if you feel like you demonstrate the quality of attitude highly, then it means you are rating yourself, you know, at the top numbers, then around the top numbers. But if you feel like, you know, there's still some work for you to do, then feel free to rate yourself as honest as you can. Please remember, just be comfortable and feel free. The whole idea is to get you to a point where you're honest to yourself and you can get to take the next step of transformation, right? right? So as usual, facilitator, you are the first one to break the ice, right? So you're going to evaluate yourself first, right? So I'm going to start off, and to be honest, I would rate myself a 6. I would rate myself a 6, and the key reason why I would rate myself a 6 is because of this material, right? It's been a while, myself, going through these roundtables, and every time I go through the roundtables, I always realize that there's an area that I really have to work on in terms of my attitude, but more importantly, I've actually improved from where I'm coming from. Because initially, when I started off doing this work, these roundtables, I was rating around 3 or 4, somewhere there. But now, as I progressively learn from these lessons, I actually find myself improving. So I would rate myself a 6. But where I started from, from around 3. How would you rate yourself, Cynthia?
Okay, I think I would rate myself a 5 because, like you have rightfully put it, it's not our first times doing this roundtable material, and I also think I am still work in progress. So I would give myself a 5 because here and there I find my attitude fluctuating. Sometimes I feel like I'm not as positive as I ought to be, so I feel I really need to put in the work again and work on this value.
All right, thank you so much. And the next question is, what benefits, why did you give yourself this rating? You've answered that. We've answered that part. What benefits then would you receive by improving your rating? And I would say, in terms of benefits that I would receive by improving this rating, I think I would have better relationships. I would better relate with other people. I would better impact and influence other people because I would be less judgmental. I would always have a positive attitude towards the people that I'm meeting, whether I know them or I don't know them. And I would have a positive attitude towards myself as an individual in terms of how I can impact other people. So those are some of the benefits that I believe I would receive by improving my rating.
Okay. Then for me, I think if I am going to improve on my rating, I think it would help me build my resilience because, yeah, so many times we get to find ourselves in different challenges and so many difficulties. But then that strength that will make me to bounce back, I believe that it would be that positive attitude, having a positive outlook to life and everything. So what I would also benefit by growing in this value is I would see opportunities in every situation, no matter how difficult a situation is. I would try and see opportunities in there.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Cynthia, for sharing that. That's very good. That's very good. Who do you know? The next question is, who do you know that exemplifies this quality, and what do you admire most about that person? So I would say the person that I know that exemplifies this quality, I always use the example of my mother-in-law, um, that she exemplified this quality very well. And you would see it when she would relate with a person, even a person that she didn't know. You'd see it even when she would relate with a person, even a person that has done something wrong to her, right? Her attitude was always positive. She was always forgiving and would always give a person an opportunity or a chance. And should always believe in people. So that's a good quality that I would say, rather the things that I would give as an examples that I admire about her in relation to this quality. And yourself, Cynthia?
Okay, so for me, it would be my husband. Yeah, so with him, I've actually gotten to learn that there is never a dull moment with him. Even amidst difficult situations, he actually likes to say the statement to say, you know what, we don't fail, we'll always win. With every opportunity, we either win or we learn. So I think that's something that I can just glean from him. Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing that. The next question is, what specific action can you take immediately that will improve your rating? What specific action would you take immediately that would improve your rating? And I would say, for myself, really gleaning from what we have learnt, I would say to talk to myself more. Right, the first step, talk to myself more. I think I do that, but there are cases when you talk to yourself negatively, and I think I would talk to myself more positively, and really tell myself that whatever situation that I'm in, definitely things will work out. So talking to myself more positively, more frequently, even in silence, without necessarily uttering the words, but even in mind, in thoughts and all. Yes.
So for me, I think what I would do is to feed my faith and starve my fears. So I think I would start that by hanging out with positive people, because like we have learned here, attitude is actually contagious. So the more I hang out with people who are positive, I get to rub onto their
Yes.
positive attitude. Then also, I think I'll also recite positive affirmations.
Right.
And for me, positive affirmations, they mainly come from the word. Right. As a believer. So the moment I'll just wake up feeling like I am I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, I know already my day is already set up for success. Yeah. And that is what I'm going to always telling myself throughout the day.
Right. That's really good, and thank you for sharing that. So what we've just demonstrated is a sample of how you can actually go through the roundtable together with your with the people in your roundtable. So the format of section 3 and 4 and 5 that we have shown you is a format of actually going through each question with each and every individual. This, like what we've been sampling, this really works out well if you are a few people. But when you're about 8 or 9 or 10 people, you'd rather go through the format of actually having people write down their responses. So you give people a couple of minutes to write down their responses. Cynthia, would you want to show from your booklet a sample of how you had written down just to the screen? Hope you can see that. Well, there it go. There it goes. You can see, right? Yeah. Thank you for that. So you can allow people to have a couple of minutes for them to actually do the self-assessment by themselves, writing down in their booklets, writing down their responses. And once everybody is done writing down, then people get to go through what they have written and share that to everyone else. So you start off as the facilitator, then you allow the next person to go through what they have written down until up to the point rather of the immediate step that they should take, and you go through the whole round table until everybody has read through what they would have written down in terms of their assessment and evaluation. So basically that's how you go through the round table. But remember, it's very important for you as a facilitator to encourage people and make people feel at home, feel comfortable, to be vulnerable, because some of these questions require them to be vulnerable. And it's out of that vulnerability that they are actually going to have that, proper or factual introspection and make the decision that they have to make in order for them to be transformed. I hope this video made sense to you, and if possible, please, after going through this video, if you have any questions, you can just send us the questions and ask how you can handle whatever that you have a question in, and we'll respond to you promptly. And we'll also encourage you to actually give the roundtable a sample today. Right? If you can do it whatever time you're watching it, if you can do it today, try to sample a round table with your family and go through the lesson on attitude together.